going to be talking today about the future of economics. And the future hopefully will not be the same as what we are living in today. What we have to figure out is how to get there from here. And the Venus Project is an organization that I came across. I'm a volunteer with the Venus Project because it has an answer that I've been looking for a very long time. Has anyone ever heard of the Venus Project before?
Was that on Star Trek?
As a matter of fact, the founder of the Venus Project consulted to Star Trek for some of their principles. So I'll be telling you about the founder of the Venus Project and some of those ideas. So let me see if this works. So first of all, I want to appreciate so much of what people have been saying today about economics of today, because everything that we're thinking has to be thunk, if you'll pardon the use of the word, within the concept of the monetary system we currently live in. What did you call them? Capitalists?
You got cartels and capitalism.
Yeah, anyway, that's the context. And we just made a film about healthcare. Some of you may have seen the healthcare movie. What we learned by making that film was that the thinking of today about healthcare was actually formed back in the 1940s and 30s. And we still think in a way that was kind of put together back then. So, So this is, once I got involved with the Venus Project, I started to take a look at the water that I've been swimming in my whole life, and I was saying, what water? I couldn't think outside the box. So the Venus Project has given me a way to think outside the box. This is the water we live in, and more. But all of the things that we are trying to impact one person at a time. Crime, we all have, boring jobs that we hate, but we have to because if somebody's got to pay the rent, right? We live in this world. This is the water, and I've always wondered why. Why? How can we live in this water and have it be okay? How can we drove past some gorgeous homes in Atlanta, beautiful homes, big lawns, mansions. Those people who live in those mansions live in this world too. This is just not very good for us. So our great-grandchildren, if we get the future that the Venus Project envisions, will see all of these things not only as avoidable, but totally unacceptable. They will not tolerate these things. They'll look back and they'll go, what were you thinking? So the Venus Project has a comprehensive plan to eliminate poverty, war, and inequality once and for all. And the reason that I like it is it's comprehensive. I haven't heard anyone else come up with a plan. I've heard a lot of people say, we need to get together because we have to do it together, but do what? So this is the what. Jacque Fresco just turned 96 years old. He's a current day Leonardo da Vinci. Brilliant genius of a man who has been thinking about the future since he was born before 1920, I think. And he lived through the Depression, and he wondered, why is it that nobody has any money and they have to stand in line for food when there's still things in the window that are sitting in the stores, there's food in the stores, there's farms with machinery, and yet he just thought this was very artificial. The resources are there. He has been thinking about the design of the future. He's an industrial designer and futurist. He consulted to some of the science fiction writers that you may have read, including Gene Roddenberry from Star Trek. This is what Jacque says. What we must do is achieve a level of production that is so high that there is no more scarcity. And once you overcome scarcity, you will see crime go down, poverty will go down, it will disappear actually. All of the kind of ills that we have to live with socially only exist when there's scarcity. All of the capitalist companies, for example, everything they do that damages the environment is because they're trying to make profits. So how do we overcome scarcity? This is the $64 million question. You'll find in economics that it's defined in terms of scarcity in every single textbook on the subject, usually in the very beginning. And without scarcity, we wouldn't even need economics. I'm so sorry about that for all of you who've been in the economics field. But without scarcity, we would have a whole different concept of economics, let's put it that way.
Supply and demand. Without supply and demand.
Yeah, without things being scarce, you wouldn't have a demand for them. Okay, so, scarcity is basically, it's the problem that we see, that everybody wants unlimited things in a world where the resources are limited. That's the thinking we've been in, that's the water we swim in. That everybody wants more than we have and we don't have enough. We think that way. We think that we don't have enough resources to fulfill all the human needs, and therefore we live in this world and allow this to happen, and I can't do that anymore. I'm sorry, I don't know about you. Because look at what we have on the earth that was put here for all of us. We have resources, we have technology. The technology of today is incredible. The things that we can do with transportation, maglev trains, they're already in existence. They can go 300, 400 miles an hour. If we put them in a pneumatic tube, they could go 4,000 miles an hour. We could do that. We have the resources to do that. We can grow plants in round things with lights in the middle where we can grow 25 times as much as an acre would grow by putting plants in different kinds of vertical gardens. We can do power from wind and geothermal. We've got all this technology. We can build houses that don't blow down in a tornado and that can disengage in a tsunami and float until the tsunami settles. We can do that. Why are we not doing that? So our practice of rationing resources through money is becoming very counterproductive. It's crashing all around us. How many of you have to work to pay your bills?
I'm married.
Ah, so you found somebody else to work to pay the bills. Even that concept that we have to work to pay the bills is something that limits our freedom to a great extent. So the Venus Project proposes what's called a resource-based economy. It's a term that they have coined. And this is what would happen in a resource-based economy. All the goods and services that you need are available without the use of money, credit, barter, or any other system of debt or servitude. Like in the library. You want a bicycle, you go down and you borrow the bicycle and then you bring it back. You want to go golfing, you get the best golf clubs, you go golfing, you bring them back. Like that. What we do is we manufacture items to go obsolete. But if we could design items to last, they wouldn't go obsolete. We could design things that would last and we would save a lot in terms of waste. But right now, if you look at the unemployment rate, part of that is because we have a lot of automation. We can build entire cars with automation. We don't need people to work in these places. If we used more automation, people wouldn't need to work except in certain kinds of sectors. So we could reduce the amount of work considerably and have people participating cooperatively in the culture. But if we invent something, if you invented a car, and it's been done, a car that runs on air or water, it's really hard to profit from that in the current economy because it threatens the way things are, the oil industry. And so anything that we invent, anything that I invent, any idea that I have, I'm thinking, how can I turn this into a business so that I can make a living, so that I can pay my bills? Instead of being able to collaborate together, I don't have to have my own patent. I could work with everybody and we could together make the best vehicle that runs the most efficiently, and we could build it together, build our ideas together without having to compete for copyright. We can use technology intelligently to replace human labor. We can make houses that are safe. There's technology that can, within one house, create energy from solar or wind and just power your own house, run your own whole water system within the house. There's a lot of new technology that's available for us to do that. design complete cities where we could provide a high standard of living for everyone, for all the residents. And design 1/8 of the city so that you can just replicate it. If we could save a lot of expense by doing it that way and have cities that house everyone in the world. And our highly advanced technology could provide everyone with free food, clothing, housing, healthcare, and energy. We could do that. So Jacque says, intelligent use of science and technology are the tools to achieve a new direction that will serve all people, not just a select few. And the shape and solutions of the future depend on the collective effort of all people working together. That's what I hear at this conference. So let me just give you an example. Between 1789 and 1865, everyone thought that it was perfectly fine to own slaves. There were 12 presidents that owned slaves because of the thinking that people had that there wasn't anything wrong with that. Now we look back and we go, well, that wasn't very good thinking. But the presidents even had slaves. We can't fault them. It was the culture they were born into. But people began taking a stand and saying, you know what, we don't want that anymore. We want human rights. So we abolished slavery. And no president has owned a slave since Ulysses Grant. Same thing happened with voting, women voting. And there was one point in time where we didn't even think about that. But then people took a stand. What did it take to create change, and what would it take for us if we got together and collectively insist
Occupy.
exactly that the earth is a common heritage of everyone, not just the people who had the companies and own it? Then we could change history too. We could go from this to starting fresh, taking a look at our planet and going, we've got this planet, we've got these resources, we've got these people, let's make it work. We've got the technology, and then asking the right questions. How do we make it happen? How do we have transportation with no accidents? How do we have food for everyone and fresh water for everyone? How do we have power for everyone? There was a research project that indicates that when 10% of the population holds an unshakable belief, their belief will always be adopted by the majority of the society. This was done in the Rensselaer Polytech Institute in New York. Very recent study. So 10% of the Earth's population, 700 million. And now, this is what we have that we never had before. We've got the internet. How long will it take to reach 700 million people with an unshakable, insisting belief? In the first week, I tell 10 of my friends. How many of you have 10 friends? At least 10 friends, okay.
Associates.
Week 2, your 10 friends get 10 friends to have this unshakable belief that we're going to insist on this. Week 3, we got 1,000. Week 4, 10,000. Week 5, 100,000. We're getting there. Week 6, a million. Week 7, 10 million. Week 8, 100 million. 9 weeks. We have a billion, which is more than 700 million. In 9 weeks, we could tip the scale with our unshakable insistence that the Earth's resources belong to everyone. And we'll have our new future. This is the website about the Venus Project. It's got a huge amount of information on it, so please make a note, www.thevenusproject.com. Are you in?
No.
Because now this is the end of the presentation, but the beginning of our new future.